This is WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont at 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening, it's The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proxer, and with me tonight, still ringing in the background, it's Brunch. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, we got some feedback here. Is there any way we could stop the feedback? There we go, that's the ticket. How are you guys tonight?
Pretty good.
We're good. A little
Excited.
We're excited.
flushed and frazzled.
A little bit.
A little bit.
For yourself. Are you flushed and frazzled?
Well, we were a little late.
No.
Well, don't worry, I turned up about 35 seconds ago, and we're already 3 minutes past the hour, so I was definitely a little bit later than you guys.
A good 3 minutes.
A good 3 minutes. Yeah, you guys were jamming out before we started. Well, we like kicking it off with a song, so what are you going to play for us?
This one's called Misconnection.
Alright, take it away. Brunch there, starting us out with Misconnection. So let's first of all go around and introduce ourselves. I would like to say that if you do not have the mic in front of you, we will not be able to hear you on the radio. So yeah,
I did throw a room mic out there, so we might get him.
There is a room mic.
Yeah,
says
Brian,
Bob.
shout loud!
I'm Mason, I play bass.
I'm Phil, I play guitar.
I'm Cam, I play guitar.
I'm Aiden, I play drums.
Oh, lovely to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you.
It's an absolute pleasure. You really kicked it off. I think it's been a while since we've had like a full electric actual band in the studio. We usually deal with singer-songwriters and acoustic sets and all the rest of it. So it's nice to actually get some actual decibels.
Did you miss it?
I kind of did, honestly. I put my headphones in initially, and I was like, "What the hell am I doing? This is if you're gonna feel this full way." So let's start off with how you guys met. As far as I know, UVM and philosophy is the two big parts. But please fill me in on the rest.
Who wants to start?
You can start.
I can start. Okay, it's kind of like an adventure story where we kind of assemble one by one.
Pretty much.
I was bored and lonely during COVID, and I had a buddy in a philosophy class of mine named Mike, and one day we just started jamming. He had a basement with a drum set, and we were like, man, this is fun. We should start a band, because bands are kind of fun too. And there was this guy I had been commenting on his Instagram pictures because he played like this one Dinosaur Jr. cover and posted it, and I was like, yes, Dinosaur Jr. And then we had talked a little bit, and it was like, yo, we should jam sometime. The number of people who I've talked to are like, yeah, let's jam sometime, bro. But I ran into him at Crew Coffee with my parents, and so then he came over, and it kind of worked, and it was awesome. Our styles were different, but they vibed. And we were also in a philosophy class together, so that's the connection that I knew. And then, do you want to?
That's Cam.
That's Cam. Yeah, that's Cam. Do you want Cam? Do you want to tell the basic introduction?
Okay.
Kim, when you came into this in Crew Coffee, you met his parents. How were his parents?
I didn't meet Phil's parents.
Oh,
I
that's
just saw Phil and I recognized him and I said, hi, we should jam. And we started jamming, and then he invited me over to Mike's house one time, and that was the first time I had turned up loud in so long, and it was just so fun. And from there, we were looking for a bass player, because two guitars and a drummer doesn't always work out when you're playing that loud. So I put out a poster just saying looking for a bass player, and Phil knew Mason. I don't know Mason before Brunch, but Mason joined, and you probably have a better story about Mason.
So I was in philosophy club, another philosophy connection, and I was like, no one's responding to our cool posters about we need a bass player. Does anyone play bass? And then this one guy who had been coming and had said some pretty smart things, even though I disagreed with them on a metaphysical level, was like, I play bass, and I was like, oh, word, you're in. And then he came
all my
over.
Philosophical, ideological, foundational ideas are
just a cool dude. And then we were trying out one person, but then, and this same process was repeated with Aiden, where we were had a list of people to try out, but then we tried out this one person, and it was okay, no one else is gonna fit like this.
Did you see anyone else after that, or was it
no.
Did you text everyone?
No, we were committed. We were in a loyal relationship.
I appreciate your honesty.
And then Mason knows the story of how we found Aiden.
Mason knows. Oh, I don't know.
Aiden was the one person who replied to our... So Mike, our original drummer, graduated UVM last semester, and so we obviously need a new drummer because he lives in Philly now, and Aiden was the one person who replied to our Instagram post looking for a drummer.
To be fair, it was really quick. It was 10 minutes.
It was. Yeah. He was immediate.
I was
That's crazy.
I didn't like him for some reason.
No.
I didn't like him for some reason, but then I met him.
Aiden, were you aware of this, that you were unliked before you came to try out?
And after.
I got the feeling, but we're working on things.
You two seem to have quite a lot of chemistry while you're playing, though. So this is unusual. This is weird to me, because it seems like you two have, eyes were locked as that last song was played.
It's romantic attraction.
Yeah.
Like Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks.
But yeah, it kind of just fit, and then we had been searching for a sound for a while, and then once Aiden came on board, and we just started playing, and just playing for catharsis, and just you come to practice after a long day, and it's okay, turning this up loud, closing my eyes, and just playing music, and Aiden just fit in perfectly. He's got his own music. Check it out, Aiden Flanagan. but he's on drums for us, and it just like fits perfectly into the sound.
It also helps that there's basically 0 drummers available in Burlington. I will say
Yeah,
that much.
that's not- yes.
But that does mean you get to be the belle of the ball all the time, and anytime anyone's a drummer, then you can step up.
That's facts.
So most of you met via philosophy. Do your songs reflect your philosophical principles at all? Do we get some Aquinas in here? Is Kant referenced at all?
I put some philosophy in.
More of a Thomas Hobbes kind of band? What's your philosophical philosophy as a band?
Mason,
Can you
do
give me this?
you want to?
Yeah, I can do this one.
I'm Hegelian.
I'm not a Hegelian.
What does that mean?
It means Phil is
Cool.
silly.
Yeah.
Proto-Marxist.
We are anti-police that shut down basement shows.
Yeah, that's the philosophy.
Our philosophy
What
is
was the question?
Do you have a philosophical principle for the band as a whole, or do you bring your own philosophical ideologies and
I like to think of music as like
Separately.
a bit of like a limit experience where it's like I feel like with Brunch especially, like when we get going in practice, like we have a bad sometimes a bad habit playing live is a good habit in practice, I think, where like I'll notice we'll start like pushing the tempo up and up and up and always be trying to do something more complex than what we might actually be like technically able to. But I think that like produces good results in practice because we're trying to like always like step past the limit of like what
Pushing
we're
ourselves.
actually able to do. And sometimes it defeats you and it feels terrible, but sometimes like something clicks with that and it like, especially in like a just jam setting, which is how we write most of our songs, it feels incredible and it's just like you lock into that feeling in that like state so incredibly like hard, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure it betters you as musicians as well to continually try and push yourself beyond your limits. As you guys are all the philosophy majors, does that fit with a particularly philosophical ideology, or shall I start running down this philosophical?
I kind of have a philosophy behind the band, but that's just like, it's so weird to be in something that all of a sudden people recognize as something. So I really like playing around with it and not taking us too seriously. Like, me and Mason are starting a brunch book club. We like, it's just.
Are we?
Yes, we are. It's just like now people recognize us, right? And so there's this thing that maybe they take seriously, but we're just like having fun. So I like to like see what we can do with it. They get mad at me for posting false things on the Instagram. Like I said we broke up over creative differences.
People believed it.
I got a lot of flack. People believed it. But I told them we were breaking up over creative differences, but that I would continue to play with Brunch, write music with Brunch, and practice with Brunch, but
As a
we were no
creative
longer Brunch.
consultant.
So the lesson here is to read the full post rather than just the headline.
Yeah, Cam, do you have anything to say on that?
Not really. I like to be honest, so I don't like
George
confusing
Washington
people,
over
especially our loyal concert goers. So yeah, just a bunch of people were hitting us up like, "Are you broken up or not?"
I love that.
I don't know. Ask Phil.
It was
but-
fun.
Okay, so you went from being, unknown as a collective individuals, and now being known as a collective. Something that you created in this COVID sphere is now become a coalesced thing rather than this kind of nebulous individual. How do you then present yourself as a band now that you are a unit or recognized or have fans? How does that feel going from these kind of individual people to being this kind of this thing, Brunch, the people on campus known as Brunch in a basement?
I don't think that's a real thing. I don't think
It's not a real thing?
I've been.
I think
I've
it's
gotten
funny.
recognized.
It's can I have the mic?
Yeah, you did, Mike.
This is actually a funny and relevant story. I got recognized. I work at the dining hall, and it's always strange that like it like bleeds because it's like such like an ecstatic and fun experience to be playing like basement shows, and then it bleeds into like the most normal spots of your life, where it's like I work at the dining hall and I do the cash register, and I'm just in there in my like shirt that's like got like food stains on it from washing dishes and stuff, and like I just woke up, it's 7 a.m. in the morning, someone's like, "I saw your show last night," or like 2 nights ago. I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, I don't know, it's always a little bit uncanny because it feels separated, but it's like weird that it's not. It's always weird to think of yourself as like somebody's weekend plans is your show.
Do you feel different playing in front of people than you feel in general? Is there a transformation,
definitely.
a metamorphosis, if you will?
It's a different feeling. It's also like, I feel like we like, not so much as some other bands, but like, I think we do a pretty good job at like being performers, and it's weird that like something like an intentional persona of like what I've constructed in my head to like play like is like something like that's somebody's only impression of me as like a guy who's like shirtless and sweaty and like swinging back and forth in a basement.
How much of that persona is intentional? How much of it was kind of in the moment? This is who I want to be, or is it how much of that is planned? Like, you know, I famous bassist Flea.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm going to try and emulate that person, or how much of it is just kind of like, oh, I'm in front of a bunch of people and I'm just going to try and be this thing, and this thing kind of becomes its own thing.
I feel like sometimes I definitely plant seeds and then let them grow in the basement, you know, like there's like ideas and like things I've been like, oh, wouldn't it be cool, like kind of funny if I did that in the middle of a set, and then like sometimes like things take off and you're rolling around on the floor at the end of the set.
Anyone else had a similar experience to Mason here in terms of either being recognized or...
I think we all kind of like put on personas during the shows, and it's like...
Not really. It's
not really,
no,
but...
it's not like Kiss or something like
No,
that.
it's not like Kiss. No, but it's still like... You're in a circumstance that you wouldn't otherwise be in, and if most of your day you go around being seen by people in places not of your choosing and not of your, like... free will, here are people who are not only coming to see you but paying to see you, and I feel like not only do you owe them a show, but you have the chance to like create yourself and be anything. So I think it's such a fun experience to be able to kind of just like put on a persona and like play
Phil,
with my friends.
Same question I asked Mason, is your persona, where do you draw that from? Is it intentional? Was it just spur of the moment that kind of grew from there? Where did this persona come from?
Well, obviously, I mean, it's me. I'm not just like acting, but I read like a lot of music history and stuff, so I try and take what I can from everyone. Like people who I like to watch, that's who I want to be, you know? So
the sunglasses too.
Yeah, sunglasses I wear at a lot of the shows because I have a hard time looking at the audience. So I wear sunglasses, but then those make me feel like you could do anything.
Like a rock star,
yeah.
Inside wearing sunglasses, automatically cool. Anyone else wants to weigh in on this very broad question?
Yeah, I think it's just like such a cool feeling to live your life throughout the day, you know, whether it's a good day or bad day, whatever happens, and then, you know, Friday night you got this gig and you can just go down into like a pit of people and just play like the stuff that you've been working really hard on with your like friends, and loud, and people are really into it, and sometimes just like, you know, screaming at it, like it's just so cool, and it's just like such a release. I've just really like benefited mentally from like just doing that all the time, so it's been a really great experience.
Yeah, it's very freeing. I mean, it's almost like a bacchanal, you know, you're going into this crowd of probably...
It's the only thing that makes my week worth it.
You're going to, you know, everyone's screaming either your name or at least Brunch, and you know, sweaty and kind of letting everything go, and you get to be the conduit that really brings everything alive. I mean, I can imagine that feels incredible. I mean, imagine that means anything that happens on Monday morning, you can always look to last Friday or the next Friday that you go, oh well, you know, I've got this coming up, or I had this experience on Friday that made all, you know, someone being crappy to you kind of worth it. Yeah. Aiden, love to hear your thoughts. As you said, you don't feel like it really is a persona.
Aiden has a persona.
He does.
Aiden has a persona, and people love it.
Well, theater has been a part of my life forever.
Oh, this is ironic, considering you said you didn't have a persona in theatre. You're the theatre kid of the four.
I guess I'm a theater kid. Yeah, I was a theater kid. But you know, it's crazy. You know, when you're performing for people, like, you know, you see ballet artists do it. You know, they'll put on makeup, and it looks crazy when you're backstage with anybody that has makeup on like that. You're like, why does your skin look like so strange, and why are your eyes like bugging out of your head? And it's because when you're on stage, you know, it's sort of you're communicating with the audience, but level of detail in that communication is lost. So you sort of need to enlarge everything and sort of, exaggerate everything for it to make any sense. And I sort of think that's sort of what, just happens when you're performing in front of people. You're yourself, but you're sort of like the character of yourself, or you're not a character of yourself, but you're just like you from afar, which is not really
Like, everything's bigger, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. Because it has to make sense.
Yourself. Like the certain elements of your personality are massively magnified, and some other areas of personality are very much diminished, and it's kind of this.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing like hard punk music, so you're gonna be like, freaking out a little bit, I mean, obviously that's not us all the time, but I think that's very real and very cathartic.
Yeah,
it's fun for us. It's fun for them. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Guys, let's hear some more music. So, what we got for us the next song?
This is a song called Mental Glue.
Mental Glue by Brunch. Alright, so first thing obviously I noticed we changed up the singer. So tell me a little bit about the songwriting practice. Are you all bringing different songs to the band? Are Kim and Phil, are you two bringing your own songs and you kind of like switch between the two? How does this work?
Yeah, definitely. We all actually do vocals. Ian's about to hop on vocals next. So yeah, like we've all been writing songs like that was a riff I wrote like 3 years ago. So just kind of bringing different songs to the table, and then if somebody has lyrics and like a melody for it, then if they want to sing it, then that's kind of how it goes. I think it's best to let the person who wrote it sing it, if they're comfortable. So that's kind of how we like to do it. But I mean, like we never like only write songs by ourselves. Like we usually come in with like a riff or maybe like a chorus or a hook, and then like we'll like flesh it out all together. And that's kind of where like, you know, most of the song gets written. But yeah, Phil, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it'll be like, I think we all have different styles musically, and so that like translates to different styles writing. But like, I'll get something stuck in my head, and I'll go up to Mason, and I'll be like, Mason, what do you think of this? Do 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 blah 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 do do, and then he'll whip out like in 5 seconds like the craziest bass line I've ever heard, and then we'll like play over it for like 30 minutes, and eventually it's like, wait, I like what you're doing there, like keep doing that. So that's pretty cool. I think like we all have different musical styles, and I feel like we tend to do vocals on like the style that fits us more. I know we've all got slightly different influences. I think that shows by like the songs that we play here. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first song definitely sounded parquet courts. Second song, I don't know, it's gonna hit me in a bit, but I
kind of Curie. I like that one. Kind of like the Cure, I think.
Yeah, a little curious. Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how this kind of then differs when it comes to Mason and Aiden. But Mason, yeah, do you want to step in terms of how does your songwriting and bringing it to the group? How does that process work for you?
I tend to write a lot of, like, I'll have like a whole chord. I'm like very different, where Cam and Phil come in usually with like a riff or a hook, where I usually won't have quite as solid of like a riff or like melody idea, but obviously being a bassist, but I'll come in, I'll have like 5 or 6 like progressions that like I think like work really in a really interesting way, and then like we'll flesh that out from there. But also I do the least amount of vocals and singing, so I guess I'm just not as like used to like working in that kind of way.
The stuff you do sing is amazing.
I sing one song.
I know, I love that song.
You've got fans, apparently.
Thank you.
He does have fans. He just got a misconnection on an Instagram account. They're like, the long-haired brunch hottie dude. I want you.
Well, I mean, nothing saying about your singing abilities there, but we're all reading between the lines, and clearly that's what they were about. Aiden, you're about to sing the next song. How about you? For you, how does bringing songs to the group, especially being a drummer? I mean, that's going to be quite difficult as a percussionist to kind of do the singing and percussion at the same time.
Don't make me think about it too hard.
You got it.
I mean, some fantastic drummers / singers are kicking around. I mean, Anderson .Paak is the one that comes to mind immediately.
Well, I didn't really. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't really start out as a drummer. I've actually never really been a drummer before. But I do a lot of like home recording stuff. So I guess I kind of write songs in a different way. Like I kind of write them all like sit down like a little like troubadour on a hill, and you know, put a chord progression and a melody and some soft-spoken lyrics. And
you're the most complete songwriter.
Yeah, for sure.
You also have the most practice.
For those who didn't hear, the most complete songwriter of everyone in front of me here is apparently Aiden. It's just because you play several different instruments, because you...
I guess so.
What's your musical background?
Well, I have some. I do a lot of home recording stuff. I have a few records on Spotify. New stuff is coming out. I just put out a couple new singles, and I've got about 8 more in the can that I'm about to put out. I've been recording a lot, but I guess that would be my musical background now. I don't know. I used to play in the jazz band in middle school.
I was gonna say, so when these guys were asking out for a drummer, I mean, you're already quite clearly quite a progressive songwriter, and drums, as you said, aren't your first instrument. So what drew you in? Why were you like, okay,
I wanted to play in a band. I really wanted to play in a band. I've never really gotten the chance to play with people. I guess that's kind of why I did all this home recording stuff, is because I just didn't have anybody to play with. And so I was like, you know, I sort of hatched this idea in my head, sort of like what you were saying just a second ago. I was thinking like, well, shoot, like, if there's a drought of any instrumentalists at UVM or at college in general, like, wouldn't it be drummers? Because where are they going to put them? Yeah. And I'm from Burlington, so I had a set at my folks' home. So I was like, ooh, like, I could be a drummer, and just like that could be like my way to play with some people. And I'm very lucky. I'm very pleased to have found people that are like totally cool and totally pushing me in directions that I never really thought I'd really.
Well, so that's going to be my next question. So you coming together as like a punk band. The two songs we've heard so far, very much punk, but in very different stylistic ways. The song that I've listened to so far is a lot more screamo. My 19-year-old self just perked right up when I listened to that. So clearly you run the gamut when it comes to punk, but you are all punk. Is this where you started out with? Is this just like a shared genre appreciation? Or is this something when you kind of all sat down together, this happened to be the common denominator?
I can't speak.
Just the music we like, you know?
Yeah. But we did start.
We started bluesy. We started bluesy
Speaking of this one.
No, you can speak into this one for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to get that close to that one, but that'll work too.
Oh,
we started playing the blues because me and Mike are big blues classic rock heads. Not so much like the rest of them style, and so when everyone comes in, it changes it slightly, and so this is like a series of changes from like me and Mike just playing Rolling Stone songs.
Yeah, I mean that's about the story.
So you went from like 60s blues to punk. You kind of went literally through the decades.
Well, it's the same thing musically, and it's the same thing vibe-wise. I don't see a big difference. We do covers of like blues songs. People really like These Boots Are Made for Walking when we do that. We do country songs. People like those.
You didn't know the band. I know Phil and I clicked a lot over the band Viagra Boys, a Swedish post-punk band, but they have a few covers of like I think Ain't Living Long Like This by Waylon Jennings. But like that's like a big like musical inspiration on me, is like completely getting rid of that like offbeat like 1/5 bass line and just turning it into like a driving like hardcore groove, and it works. It works.
I mean, that's
it makes
really
it really
fun.
different.
It's like taking old songs and just screwing them up.
Yeah.
And playing them loud.
That's all they did was take 60s girl pop groups and throw some distortion on it. Boom, you got the Ramones.
Hot take of the evening. Guys, I'd love to hear another song, so what you got for us?
Okay. This next one is called Man Is Old. You guys all ready?
Let's see. I'm ready. I'm about to be ready.
Gross and ugly making music sound.
Okay, what do you want to do? You want to play a song?
I want to play, let's play a song. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
right. I think I got it. 9 years old. Was that the title of the track?
That's called Man is Old.
Man is old.
Maybe I should change
9 years old is good.
9 years old! Everybody's
Man
been
is
that.
old / potentially now 9 years old by Brunch. So I did check out your social medias before I came on this evening.
Scary.
The only thing I saw on your Instagram bio, apart from pictures obviously, was that you apologized to the Burlington Police
We are
Department.
sorry.
Why?
We are sorry for party rocking too hard.
Are you sorry? Is the question. And why apologize to the Burlington Police Department?
I'm pretty sorry.
I'm pretty sorry, yeah.
They should be sorry to us.
No, okay, so there is a huge lack of places to play in Burlington.
Talking to Mike.
There's a huge lack of
Speak up.
places. Thank you. Yeah. Speak up and stand
Speak
up.
your truth.
There's a huge lack of places to play in Burlington. Most of the real venues aren't super interested, or they're just booked, or they've got like a lot of acoustic singer-songwriters, and they're just not prepared to like handle a crowd. And so we do everything ourselves. We set up everything ourselves. Like we mix everything ourselves. It's our PAs, it's our equipment, and it's just our friends' basements, right? So. Posters, yeah, Cam designs the posters. They're awesome, amazing. But it's all do it yourself, and then, so we're really backed into a corner here because we're doing what we love, but what we love doing is inaccessible, and it's somewhat dangerous, and it's illegal, and so we get into trouble with the cops, and shows get shut down. It's just, it's part of it. It's not something at this point that we can avoid. We don't have the resources for it.
Yeah, for sure, and it really sucks that you guys playing great.
So we're
great
sorry
music.
to Burlington Police.
Again, should not be sorry to them. They're awful people. But
Right on.
you are trying to do what you love, and you're doing it very well. What is it about? And I'm not saying that basement shows shouldn't exist, because they should. Basement shows are fantastic, great way to play, especially this kind of music. But what is it about these other venues, say Radio Bean or Nectar's or Orlando's or even Swan Dojo, which is definitely more of a DIY kind of scene? What is it about these places that either why aren't they picking you up, or why aren't you interested in playing them?
I feel like part of I'm gonna get. I don't think this is a
you tell
controversial
'em.
take.
Yeah, please do.
But there's nothing 18 and under in Burlington, because like Nectar's, like Club Metronome, like I know they have the space to host these big shows, and they seem to be interested in hosting local bands. Radio Bean, even nobody, like I'm a sophomore, I'm 19. Nobody I know is gonna come out to a show that they're gonna get kicked out of at 9 p.m. And that's such a huge draw, and like adding that real because youth culture is something, but if a kid grows up in Burlington, being able to go to 18 plus or under 18, 16 and over shows, nothing about Brunch or Dick Richard or any of these other basement bands is so crazy that you need a 21 and over shows. It's just drink money at the end of the day. But if they held these younger crowds, people would flock.
People would come.
People would go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's you're not gonna I don't think they think they're stopping anyone from coming in drunk or high anyways. It's just making a little more at the bar, I feel like.
So what you're saying is these venues should hold a space for bands that are more popular with folks that are under the age of 21.
Yeah.
They should have a night at least, once a month, once for a couple of weeks, where bands like you and yourself play, because you've got an audience that is
There's a
predominantly
ton
under
of
21.
underground bands in Burlington that people don't know about. People will be like, oh, there's no punk scene in Burlington, but you just gotta look. There's basement shows every weekend. There's a lot of bands doing their thing, and if they were provided with a real platform, that's something else. No one wants to provide. It's hard to prove ourselves to a place saying what are we gonna email Nectar's and say? Yeah, we filled up a basement with 200 people yesterday and it got shut down by the cops. Can we play there?
And then Arts Riot obviously just doesn't have any sort of their acts together.
Arts Riot is the less we can say about Arts Riot, the better, because it's been driven into the ground. But definitely feel that you guys should all speak to Jim if he is here at some point this evening, because this is something that definitely happened in the 90s in Burlington, and then probably the 2000s in Burlington. And Jim, and he was once your age too, and I think probably felt the very same thing, and actually cultivated a really good punk and metal and heavy scene here. Okay, last question before I let you guys play your last song. Alright, metal and punk, they often have the kind of subset of singers and performers in their midst, and the audience to perform to. Generally speaking, I have never spoken to a punk band or a metal band or a screamo band that are assholes, basically. And generally speaking, the audience is of that kind of similar nature. On the surface level, punk, metal, screamo, whatever, is inaccessible to the layman because it's intimidating. But if you ever speak to any audience member there, they are often the kindest people. What is with that kind of that disconnect between the perception you have on the surface level, the fact you're all screaming into the mic, the fact you're all being loud and as expressive as possible, and this fact that everyone coming to your show are usually the nicest people? Where's that disconnect?
I think it's like really cool when people are into music and like are just like feel the music, and I think punk and you know metal and you know harder genres like that are like so expressive and you feel them so much, and I think like you can kind of just get it out when you're playing and kind of like let the music do that instead of being an asshole. You know, like you don't have to, you know, like if you have any bit of angst or anything, just let it out into the music, like save that for the music, and then, you know, there's no room for that outside of music, I don't think, so.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. I feel like that kind of hit the nail on the head there. Well, with that very succinct answer, what song have you got to play us out with?
This one's a jam.
This is a song called Big Bird, which is tribute to one of the first basement shows we played.
How do we want to start this? You just want to do it?
Yeah, you can start it.
Wrong reason. Just facts, opinions, and ideas. Justify myself to the mirror. Make the change for who I wanna be. Turn myself into a bird. Fly away, see what I wanna see. Fly all the way to the moon. The unexpected absence of gravity.
right, Brunch playing us out with Big Bird. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
If anyone does want to come see you, where are you playing? Can you even disclose it? Is it a big secret? DM you on Instagram? Is that the
DM for address.
DM for address. Golden rule.
All right. Well, if you want to go watch Brunch live, go to their Instagram at Brunch the Band, and I'm sure they will reveal the secret. Well, that's all we've got for tonight. We're going to be taking a break for Thanksgiving next week, but the week after that, we've got my good friends Headgear coming in. But for tonight, this has been WOMM LP operating at Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. It has been The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor, and good night. Yeah! Good stuff. That was fucking awesome, guys.